Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It is Doctor Who night. No, don't just click away just yet. Even if you're not a fan of the show, you're probably going to want to stick around because I got some really interesting ideas. We're going to go over some ideas we've had for a particular alien species that we hope the BBC will introduce. We have an idea for a particular episode of Doctor Who that we certainly would like to see made. We think it would be a hit. And then, of course, we're going to go over our idea for a particular incarnation of the Doctor. We think our picks and our choices are going to be a bit bold, maybe a little bit controversial, but it just might be what the show needs. New aliens. Doctor Who has so many aliens. Some look great. Some look like they clearly just did it on a $2 budget. Some are iconic. Some are very forgetful. So here is my idea. Dragons are aliens. Now bear with me here. I mean, yeah, they've had, bees are aliens, minotaurs have been aliens, the Loch Ness Monster is an alien, so why not dragons? This particular race of aliens, they're roughly, 10 to 20 feet tall. They're always wearing their spacesuits. The spacesuits are usually darker in color, and they have a kind of scaly plate armor kind of look to them. It almost kind of looks like alligator, hide, crocodile hide. In particular, there's a special kind of mechanism around their kind of mouth, kind of on the jaw. They are humanoid because, you gotta have humans playing these actors. But anyway, special kind of breathing apparatus. The reason for that is because on the home planet, these aliens on their home planet, when they normally breathe, nothing happens. Just like we humans breathe out carbon dioxide in this atmosphere, and it's fine. On the home planet of these aliens, they breathe out with their biology and the atmosphere. They breathe out, it's fine. But when they are on Earth, when they breathe out, fire. The gas these aliens breathe out is combustible. The spacesuits, because they have it on all the time, they have like kind of special jetpack kind of wing contraptions that allows them to fly. Now, fortunately, these aliens are pretty peace-loving. They're really kind of shy. They don't really want to interact with any humans too much. So they really don't constantly just go around and, destroy human towns and kill people and eat children or anything like that. They don't, steal fair damsels and hoard treasure or anything like that. Turns out this particular race of aliens, they have crashed on Earth a couple of years apart, so to speak, but it's always when human civilization was kind of very early development of human civilization. So you have these giant beings that breathe fire and can fly, and they will defend themselves if they feel threatened. So again, they can breathe fire, they can fly, and they will attack if need be, and they're big. That kind of sounds like dragons to us. Episode idea. It is called Peace Match. In the future, as humans begin to spread across another galaxy, they begin to explore, and they encounter another race of aliens called the Dwenai. The Dwenai, you can think of them as kind of burnt orange Silurians. On average, they tend to be smaller, faster, and more intelligent than the average human, but not too bad. So the Dwenai, they have basically the same technological advancement levels as the humans. So, and they're also starting to explore the galaxy. They meet the humans, and hey, everyone's friends. They learn from each other. They really develop. They really hit it off. Become great friends, great allies in exploration, resource sharing, all that sort of thing. And then there's this sport, this fictional sport I'm calling Idrim, I-D-R-I-M, Idrim. You can think of it as a kind of futuristic basketball meets handball meets Quidditch, but it's also played with arm cannons. This sport developed between Idrim and humans, and it became a symbol of the cooperation and the friendliness between the two races. But then eventually, a war breaks out. No particular side really gains an upper hand, because again, they're both at roughly the same, technological advancements. So eventually, after the war, it costs a lot. So many people were killed, lots of damage, and so they decide, okay, now is the time for peace. During the peace talks, an impromptu game of Idrim arises between the Dwenai and the humans. And so then 1 year later, after the peace treaty is signed, that same group decide, hey, let's get back together, let's play for another, game of Idrim, just for, kind of old time's sake to kind of, remember the peace treaty. So they do, and there's also a bit of a crowd that joins them. And then it develops on and on, so that every year, it's been called the friendliest sports rivalry in the galaxy. The annual Human Dwenai Idrim Classic. It's also called Peace Match for short. That's how we get the title of the episode. So at the 19th annual Human Dwenai Idrim Classic, or the 19th Peace Match, the Doctor and companions land there, and they kind of notice, they're like, okay, things are going well, but they find out that relations between the human and the Dwenai are kind of flaring up again. They're not out at war, no like skirmishes or anything, but it's just very tense. Apply too much pressure and war could break out again. Now, at the stadium where the Idrim match, where the peace match is being played, there's a young, fresh, not very experienced Dwenai security guard called Calton. I want to take a different approach kind of with the storytelling. Usually the story starts with the Doctor and companions, follows and ends with the Doctor and companions. I want to throw that out the window, mix it up a little bit. It's going to start with Calton. We will mostly follow Calton, and we will end with Calton. The Doctor and companions are really just kind of important side characters. So Calton, he notices something suspicious going on, but doesn't really seem to pan out. But as he's investigating, the Doctor and companions are involved. Now remember, he's following something suspicious, so he brings the Doctor and companions in for questioning. Now you might be thinking, why didn't the Doctor just, boom, sonic paper, we're allowed to be here? Let's mix things up again. The psychic paper doesn't work on Calton. So Calton and companions, they go to the head security office. They do eventually get cleared of what's going on. But then then they realize, when they're gathered around the security office and everything's kind of taken care of, they realize, wait a minute, there's a plot happening here. Turns out, there's a group of fanatic human and Dwenai individuals. They want the war to flare back up again. So their plan is to release a biological bomb during peace match. It's going to kill millions. It's going to cause mass chaos. If that doesn't lead to war, then something soon will. So again, there's a biological weapon going to be released at a sports stadium. Again, this might be kind of controversial to the BBC, but I think it could be just a nice break from kind of the usual Doctor Who formula. Naturally, Calton saves the day with the help of the Doctor and companions. It's not the story of how the Doctor can walk into a situation, be clever, wave the sonic screwdriver, and hey, day saved. No, this is a story of Calton. This is a story of the average person, the regular person, using their wits and their courage to save lives. Ah yes, so the new Doctor. So my idea for a new incarnation of the Doctor, again, it might be kind of controversial here. Not scandalous, but I don't know how well it would sit right with people. So, as you would know if you're a fan of Doctor Who, the Doctor is never really physically intimidating so much. He's not really the classic, rugged, square-jawed, muscle-bound, action-oriented kind of hero. In essence, the hero is the nerd, not the jock, so to speak. The Doctor has always been kind of a larger-than-life figure. I think let's finally have an incarnation of the Doctor that is looking like a more larger-than-life figure. So let's make him over 6 feet. And yes, I will be having a man for this role. And I'm not talking like a Chris Hemsworth kind of Thor kind of angle. Not a Chris Pratt as Star-Lord, maybe more of a Chris Pratt as Andy Dwyer from the first couple of seasons of Parks and Rec. Just give him a dad bod. Yes, can we have the Doctor with a dad bod? At a fundamental level, this Doctor will be eccentric and intelligent, just like every incarnation of the Doctor. But I also want them to be kind of like an adrenaline junkie. I really want them to take the physicality of actually really getting in there. I want a younger actor for this role, someone who can really bring the physicality, because hopefully they'll have him doing kind of more stunts, a lot more kind of action-oriented Doctor as well. Very important, because I mentioned why I wanted a male for this role. Now, the kind of more adrenaline junkie kind of side, that might be kind of more stereotypically male or even bordering on toxic masculinity here. And that's also kind of I want to counter it with the actual kind of personality of the Doctor. This Doctor, yes, is going to be an adrenaline junkie, but they're also going to be, basically they're going to have kind of the fifth Doctor's, Peter Davison's Doctor level of compassion and concern and emotional awareness and friendliness. Basically, yeah, initially they might look intimidating, but it's more just almost like a gentle giant. This Doctor will almost be a gentle giant. Outside, pretty big, even slightly intimidating. But really, when you get right down to it, 2 big hearts, and plenty of love, plenty of laughter in there. I think that's a nice contrast to kind of the more, big, bulking, brutish kind of male figures that maybe not as common as they were before on TV, but they're still around. And also, very importantly, this incarnation of Doctor will be good with children. They will be a good father figure, because that's never getting old. That's always necessary. Bit of a controversial point here. So my pick for this Doctor, Yusuf Kerkor. The person who should be the Doctor should be a relative unknown. They should definitely have the Slim experience, but they should be a relatively unknown. This should be the role that really brings them up, really brings them to the forefront. Like, this is the career-making role, not just one of many. So my choice is Yusuf Kerkor. Again, I very much doubt the BBC would actually go with this choice because, number one, he's not actually British. He was born in Morocco, raised in Morocco. He studied for a while in America. And eventually he did make it to the British Isles. He studied at the Royal Shakespeare Society. He has done a decent amount of kind of like low kind of level British stuff, British TV work. I've seen him in Criminal UK. Highly recommend that. He's really good in that. That's where he brought kind of like a more serious, kind of more somber, emotionally stressful kind of role. I've also seen him in BBC's Dracula. In there, he played crew member about a ship, so he was able to really bring like the physicality. Seemed like a very gruff kind of individual, but you saw he was a little more warm and friendly after that. And yeah, let's give the Doctor a nice beard, roughly that length, not too much more than that. I don't want to go over a little bit, but yeah, let's bring beards back in style. As I mentioned before, kind of a controversial choice here because he's not actually. I don't even know if he's actually a citizen. So this particular Doctor's character arc will kind of go as follows. Again, as you remember, he starts out as like the adrenaline junkie, that sort of thing. Let's bring on a companion that's a little more quiet, a little more reserved. This Doctor will help bring them out of their shell a little bit. Now, here's where it gets dark. Again, the companion will die. My idea is that the companion will die. And I'm not talking like a huge, overly drawn-out, dramatic death. It will be very abrupt. It will be very shocking, and it will be slightly the Doctor's fault, because the Doctor will help this companion kind of break out of their shell, but this companion will just kind of take it too far. They will overstep their bounds. It will be slightly the Doctor's fault that character passed away, but it will be mostly this particular companion and the actual villain. Again, I think that would be a very bold choice. I think people could love it, people could hate it, but I think that's kind of what we need, because never mind like these kind of fake out deaths or anything like that. So that will be season 1. So that will happen in this first season, and then of course this particular Doctor is just absolutely devastated. Like they caused the death of their companion because they were just having too much fun, basically. And this is very important. Why you need someone with some good acting chops for this. Second season with Yusuf Kerkor's Doctor. They will kind of go back to more their old self. But it happens this time, you get a companion that is perfectly capable of taking care of themselves. Perfectly capable of looking out for themselves, knowing their own limits and everything. So then that would be good, because then the Doctor can, learn to, and you learn to kind of let the companions do their thing. I don't have to be so protective or anything like that. So the second season kind of character arc for the Doctor, again, kind of coming back to the old self. I'm assuming there's going to be a third season, because traditionally that's what the Doctor, whoever plays the Doctor, they stick around for 3 seasons. I think in the third season, I would really just I want to more kind of branch out, more kind of, more aliens, more planets, We will kind of test the Doctor, strictly speaking, but they won't have a character arc so much. I think let's keep it more kind of focused on like the story and the companions. That's my idea, kind of for Yusuf Kerkor as the Doctor. So again, let me know what you think. Did you love it? Did you hate it? Do you have your own ideas? I want to hear from you. This is Geek Talk, not Geek Lecture. I don't mind lecturing and monologuing all this time, but yeah, let's actually chat.